Much everyone. Thank you for attendance. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today. I'd also like to pay my respects to elders past and present. Do we have any apologies or leave of absence? No? Declarations of pecuniary interest? Confirmation of the minutes of the previous meeting. Mover? Moved by Margaret, seconded by Julian. Thank you. All in favour? Thank you. Anything arising from that? Okay, moving on then to governance and financial reports. Page 16.
I'll move the recommendation.
Move the recommendation. Thank you. Councillor Marlow. Councillor Risselman. Comments? All in favour? Carried. Governance and financial reports, page 18. Statement of investments. Councillor Ham moves. Councillor Larter. Thank you. Any questions or comments? Put the motion, all in favour? It's carried. Management reports, page 22. Request for hire facility, Fitzroy Street Park. Recommendations there on page 22. First one is the council deny the request, and the second one is the council adopt as policy, so not hiring facilities within a 500 metre radius. Everyone familiar with those recommendations? Moving both, Councillor Ham?
Yes. Can we do them one at a time?
Can we do them one at a time?
Yep. If we could go to the first one.
First one?
Yep.
Seconder? Councillor Smith. Yes. Thank you. Seconder. Any discussion?
Yes, can I just
ask
a question? The wording that says arise from the close proximity to the Easter Bazaar, I'm not sure that that's the reason that we are discussing this particular request. It's not that it's in competition with the Easter Bazaar. It's a location in relation to safety
it's
and traffic.
Safety
so
issue.
The concept of having close proximity to the Easter Bazaar seems to me to be an irrelevant point.
I think it's just that they're both on at the same time, and that adds to doubles the issue.
That's not how it reads though.
Through the chair, if you'd like to add a couple of extra words, if the mover and the seconder are happy to do that, then we could add after proximity to the Easter Bazaar for safety reasons, safety and other reasons including. So if we'd add those couple of words, if the mover and the seconder are happy with that.
Both happy? Any further discussion? Put the motion. All those in favour of recommendation 1? It's carried. It's not planning, is it? Recommendation 2. Mover?
Yeah.
Councillor Ham? Councillor Benjamin?
Do you want to speak on that, please?
Speak to it.
Not particularly. I just think it's a good idea because you don't really want anything. You know, you've got these premier events, as it's called, and you want to really keep them as a premier event. You don't want something else going on.
Do we want to do a bit of further research on it though, for each event and what that all meant? So a bit of report into Easter Bazaar compared to Tumut, is it different?
Or for that matter, the side effects.
Or the side effects.
So, in reference, the side effects is a very designated area. There's a lot of Batlow area not being used during the side effects, where I would hate to discourage someone doing another opportunity.
To do a blanket policy.
Yeah, another business opportunity for community people, and I would hate that to be totally removed. So
This does say within 500 metres.
it's not very far in Butler.
So we're getting into discussion. Do you want to move into committee or do you want to put the motion?
I'll move on.
Thanks, Councillor Lada. Seconder? Councillor Isselman, all in favour? Okay. Comments?
I just think that each one should be individually considered and a report done for each one. And as Mark said, one may need 500 metres and one may need more or less.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think the Easter Bazaar, out of all those, is probably the one that concerns me because it's the one that's certainly has the same impact as the netball has every Saturday in that
high traffic area.
Which you probably don't get with these other. So that they're individual. You know, assess them on an individual basis.
Yep, well said. So is that an adoption of a policy to continue assessing on an individual basis?
So yeah.
Would you need a policy to say that though? It's a lot of work to say nothing.
Yeah.
It's not just about hiring the facilities though, it's also about the approvals that we give to the event, so that that's the council giving permission to actually hold the event, because as in the case with the Easter Bazaar, they may hire some facilities, but they also get permission from government organisations like the New South Wales Ambulance to use the land between the boys' hall and the ambulance station.
So do we have a policy that links well to this?
General Manager.
Through the chair, I would say it probably fits in with an event strategy. I don't know where our event strategy is at or the policy behind that. And remembering the council can only control activities that happen within council's jurisdiction. So although council may have a policy that covers certain distances and things like that, if it's not a policy, a matter that's under council's control, then it's out of our hands to where those activities happen. But if this was not to pass, for instance, I think that we could take the matter on notice and incorporate it within an event strategy that actually goes through what are our premier events, where do they happen, how does that relate to other events and activities happening in town, and actually try to draw that into that policy.
And may I please listen to me? One of the things I have an issue with in relation to this is that the Easter Bazaar is held and people are going to be crossing the road to go to the hall for the Easter Bazaar, and then down the road a little bit it's going to be this application for a separate event. Potentially more children will be crossing the road. My experience is that with all the other events, the event coordinator has to make sure that they've got the traffic control from the police, the control of the roads, the whole issue. It's quite a complicated issue. And this particular event, either one of them hasn't addressed either that issue in any way at all, and I think that's what we're doing ourselves in. Because they're expecting us as council to somehow or other come up with a policy that allows them to be able to do what they want to do when all the other events are facing the issue of, and correctly so, maintaining what police control, like road closure, all those sorts of things, and pay for it. So we maybe need to consider just what the Easter Bazaar people do in relation to that location and what the application for the activity beside it, and how they would address those issues as their responsibility.
Which would all, if we had a template for an event strategy, that would work well.
I think that's all in there. I mean, they're obviously following the rules because I know I've signed off on behalf of ambulance for this particular event.
So do you think the police force have been considered?
Well, they would have had to have done to get it past council. You can't just, so they would have had to have. But it's a matter of whether, like from a holistic view, whether we think it's. I mean, because all this guy really is doing is piggybacking off this this event. So and I don't blame him. He's basically saying, well, you're having you know, an iconic event there, and you know, I want to be part of the event so that I can make some money and add to the feature of it. But
most other events would welcome that straight away. Just, yeah, this is fabulous, you know, let's go. More events on, it's fabulous. You know,
well, I would too. But it's just the problem is that, you know, like, it's probably big enough as it is now without sort of adding. There's no space to add there.
Also, you've got the problem of a busy road with kids.
It's outgrown it. If you start adding this sort of stuff on top of it.
Yeah.
However, if you adopt this policy, you're stopping that add-on for the other ones. So you can either put the policy and it can be defeated, or we can choose not to put it. We can do whether and second can withdraw.
Or then you can come up with an alternative motion around drafting a safety management plan that's to the satisfaction of council and the relevant agencies as an option.
May I make an observation on this? The other events in this number 2 are very major events that incorporate a whole area rather than a section of the side of the road. So they're quite different to the Easter Bazaar, which we've already passed a motion about. So I don't see much need for this second one at all.
Mr. Mayor, if you just put an amendment to that to indicate, subject to the relevant committees agreeing to that activity, it's probably a way that you can address it. So you would have a general exclusion, but if somebody did want to come along and use another council facility, that committee relevant to that event would have to approve the use of that. I don't know if that's... So like Tumberfest obviously uses the Creekscape sports ground. If somebody wanted to come in and use the showground, which is within 500 metres, the Tumberfest committee would have to approve that event to be used there. And it's a piggyback type exercise, but...
I'm not sure we want more red tape though. You know, we don't want to stifle people wanting to... I mean, to me this is more about... The Easter Bazaar is big enough where it is and what it is. And the whole issue is about whether we allow somebody to run a mini carnival next door to it and have all these kids, really. That's really the crux of it. I don't know that we really want to be making a policy to stifle somebody at Tumberfest being able to do something within a 500 metre radius. I mean, that to me seems a bit silly.
But would it take away from the main event? Like these committees, you know, they put a lot of work into getting these events up and running. I think and they are the premier event.
Yeah.
You know, you are effectively creating competition adjacent to these events. So it's
I agree with you. I think that if somebody's gone to the trouble of organising an event like Tumberfest, then, you know, whoever wants to do something in cooperation with it needs to go through that.
Through the relevant committee.
Yep.
So your suggestion is that
all you would need to do is in number 2 there, obviously insert the word council facilities in relation to what they're hiring, because the GM indicated it can only enforce it in relation to council facilities, and you would change the wording to allow the hiring council events within 500 metres. Not allow. You would have to just amend that to insert that subject to approval through the relevant committee of that event, or something along those lines.
Did you get that, Susan? I need a screen in front of me.
You need a screen.
Through the relevant
And take out 5.
Well, you could even make it council approval, or to give us overarching.
Really, any other event, if with a policy not allowing the hire for the facilities, as part of that, the council would have to consult with the relevant committee of the premier event to see if they would support that.
So we're happy with that?
Except we're removing within 500 metres in the brackets.
I think that could still stay, couldn't it? Because if it's within, if it's closer, and they agree, it's okay. Is that the way it reads?
Yeah, it's like a double negative.
It's difficult, this, because I mean, essentially what this means is that if Tumberfest is on and the Lions Club want to hold a barbecue and raise some money, you're essentially stopping them from doing that within 500 metres. That's what you're saying.
I think
On a council
that's not a worry.
facility.
Council.
They're all there anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Use everyone we can.
Everybody's there anyway. I think it's like Gus said, more somebody wanted to go and set up a country music festival on the showgrounds, you know, like in competition. Because any other small events, the whole town's involved, so like it's not particularly Tumberfest.
So if this is a policy though, this will then be incorporated into our event strategy, Snowy Valley's event strategy policy, once it gets...
So this, through the chair, this will be like a standalone patch that will consistently operate within the area, and as we develop those policies, that will be incorporated in, but that will come back to council for approval at that time.
Right.
And we'll have more time to consider what should be on the shoulders of that.
Yeah, do we change the word adopt to create a policy? And then, as the GM alluded to, we've got to come back to council with any policy anyway. So.
Yep. This is all subject to the moving and stuff.
Once we do that.
It should be regarding rather than to not allow.
Yeah.
And maybe we could even make it create a policy and report back to council so that we can look at the nuts and bolts of it before we approve it. That way or not.
Doesn't that happen automatically anyhow?
Not if we say create a policy, because
No, it should come back.
it should.
We'll have to adopt. Okay. Are we clear? Someone like to move that we go back?
Happy to do that.
Thanks, Councillor Wright. In a minute, Councillor Cross will put you on the books.
Right.
All in favour? Okay. Now the mover and second are happy with those amendments.
I'm happy.
Oh, Hammond, okay.
Yep. Any further discussion? Put the motion, all in favour? It's carried. Thank you. Alright, moving on. Takes us to Management Reports 9.2, Land Exchange for Council Pathways from Selwyn Street to Lord Street, Tumbarumba. Recommendation there. Councillor Lardy, Councillor Wright. Discussion?
So it looks pretty clear to me.
Yeah, it's a really good idea.
Good result.
Yep.
This is planning, yes? Yes.
Well
So I need a division on this one, so I need to note everybody.
Okay.
So I'll put the motion. All in favour? Show of hands, please. That's unanimous. Thank you. Road realignment. 5 recommendations there. Councillor Larder, all 5. Councillor Ham. Discussion. Planning? No, not planning, no. Good plan. Okay. No discussion? All in favour? Carried. Brings us up to committee meetings. Batley Development League. Page 31, there's a recommendation there. Councillor Smith. Councillor Ham. Discussion? Anything arising? All in favour? Carried. Recommendation page 34. Two recommendations there. You might note that there's two here. Two. Mover. Councillor Benjamin. Councillor Larder. Discussion. All in favour? Carried. Page 38. Minutes of the Talbingo Progress Association, 4th of October 2017. Councillor Wright. Councillor Ham. Anything arising? All in favour? Carried. Minutes of the Talbingo Progress Association held on the 1st of November. Councillor Larder, Councillor Benjamin. Anything? All in favour? Carried. That concludes the ordinary meeting. Someone move that we go into committee as a whole, please. Councillor Ismail and Councillor Wright. All in favour? Carried. Thank you everyone for your attendance. Move into confidential now.
So, Council considered in Committee of the Whole the McCallum's Pit report and resolved 3 matters: to support Council's withdrawal from McCallum's Pit, to move the required funding from the quarry rehabilitation to the capital works for extension of the seal along Lower Manus Creek Road, and to authorise the Mayor and General Manager to sign under seal of Council the deed of release for McCallum's Pit.
Thank you, Mr. General Manager. And that concludes the meeting. I'd like to wish everybody a happy Christmas.
Mr. Mayor, the business I want to bring about the photographs, we're going to bring that up.
We'll mention that afterwards.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you very much. And have a happy New Year. And we'll see you at the next meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.